Hi, I'm Kelli O'Hara, and this is my life in the theater. Here we go. Jekyll and Hyde. I did the national tour of Jekyll and Hyde, directed by David Warren and choreographed by Jerry Mitchell, and the tour was a blast. Follies, Sondheim's Follies. I consider this my Broadway debut. It was with the most glorious group of people. I'm still best friends with many of them to this day. I understudied Heidi, Phyllis, and Sally, and I moved up into the role of Phyllis eventually. I have a group of 4 women. We call ourselves the Clovers, all in different decades of ages, and we are the closest of friends and get together all the time, celebrate each other's lives. Judy Ivey, Nancy Ringham, Erin Dilly, and myself. So Follies is in my heart very deeply. While I was doing Follies, I went on a lunch break to get an audition that I hadn't been able to get, to crash, I should say, an audition for Sweet Smell of Success. Because when I first moved to New York, I got a small job at the downtown Bridgeport Cabaret Theater in Connecticut and met a guy named Eric Michael Gillette. And Eric Michael Gillette had done a reading of a new musical coming to Broadway called Sweet Smell of Success. And he handed me his entire script and score and said, "This is your part." And I had just started my career. There was someone else playing that part. It just so happened they decided to recast that part. So 2 years later, I took that script and that score and I went to Chelsea Studios and I banged on the door. They wouldn't answer for a while. They finally did. It was someone I didn't know. I said, "You have to see me. I'm your Susan Hunsaker." They finally said, "Okay, fine, come in." The guy sat down at the piano and he said, "Our pianist has gone to lunch. I'm gonna have to play for you." I said, "Okay, you'll do." I snapped at him to go faster because I was so nervous. He was going very slow. And I read for the part. And then I found out later that was Marvin Hamlish. And the other 2 gentlemen were Nick Heitner and Craig Cornelia. And then I found out that I got called back and I was one of 3 finalists. And I was in Follies at the time, as I said. And one of the other finalists was Erin Dilly, who was also in Follies with me. The fact that she is one of my best friends to this day because she celebrated that I got this job, because that's the kind of person she is it floored me. But I ended up getting this job, and it was, although the show wasn't a big hit, it was one of the neatest experiences of my life. But I got to read in that final callback with an actor named Brian Darcy James, and I said, "I don't care if I get the job, I got to do that." And so I'll tell you a little bit about what happened 22 years after that. Next, My Life with Albertine, and I'm really glad this is in here. It's not a Broadway show, but Sweet Smell of Success closed early. I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought when you get a job, you get a job, and there was no severance package. You know, there was nothing to support me. And then I went into audition for a small part in a brand new musical by Ricky Ian Gordon and Richard Nelson, based on Marcel Proust's Things of Remembrance Past. I did something weird in the audition. I think I said a line wrong, so I sort of made a joke about it, and they liked my spunkiness, I suppose, I've been told. So then they called me back for the actual role of Albertine, and I ended up getting it. And that show changed the way I think about what my position here in New York is. I came trying to do things like Jekyll and Hyde and Dracula because that was what was popular at the time, but what I sang in my heart were things like My Life with Albertine and Adam Guettel, Ricky Ian Gordon. And so this made me find my place. Albertine showed me that I could be an actor and do musicals, but also sing the way my body wanted to sing. Believe me, I tried to sing pop, I tried to sound cool. And when I finally accepted who I was, I started to work. And yet then I went and did Dracula. And all I have to say about that is nakedy.com. However, before I took Dracula, after Sweet Smell of Success, before My Life with Albertine, I got cast in a very strange art project in Sundance Theater Lab in Utah with grapes on my head, on rollerblades, about Children of Paradise, Marcel Marceau. Radiohead was playing. The amazing performance artist John Kelly was starring. And across the river, right in the same lab, they needed a place filler for a singer called Franca in a new musical called The Light in the Piazza, written by Adam Guettel and Craig Lucas. And Ted Sperling, the amazing maestro and dear friend of mine, had seen Sweet Smell of Success and said, she can sing. So they put me in this reading, this half of a musical of Light in the Piazza, playing the sister-in-law Franca. And that show would change my life. And we did it in Seattle. I played Franca. We did it at the Goodman in Chicago. I played Franca. And only after that, in the next year, the role changed hands, and I sang. Vicki Clark and I went together, and only when we knew the role would be going to someone new did I sing for it. And I ended up playing Clara in The Light in the Piazza, and it did change my life for many, many reasons. It started a long journey for me. And it was when we were working on Light in the Piazza at Sundance that I said to Adam Guettel, I really love the way you write. I wonder if you might write something for Brian Darcy James and me to do. And I'm thinking of a movie called Days of Wine and Roses. And he might have actually talked about that movie too. And we eventually did that show. Pajama Game. So I worked on Light in the Piazza for all told 5 years. And in it, I switched parts, as I just said. It was emotional. It was an extremely emotional ride. I met some of the most important people in my career. Victoria Clark, who would become one of my greatest mentors. Celia, Kenan-Bolger, who would become one of my dearest friends. But because of the emotional sort of roller coaster of it, I never really owned Clara. I do now. I'm very proud of her. But I wouldn't let myself own her because she was a shared commodity, and I shared her, and I still do with Celia Kenan-Bolger and always will. So when I had the opportunity to audition for something really different, something grown up, something sort of fun and sexy and strong, like the Pajama Game, I decided I would go for it. And I did. And it was really hard to leave Light in the Piazza early. They were very angry at me, I think. But that changed my trajectory because it took me, when I played Claire, I was a little too old to be playing ingenues, in my opinion. I felt like I had a lot more to say. I think it did change my path because I got to play someone who was a little bit more feisty. And I used a different kind of part of my voice. It wasn't always easy. I was definitely pretending to be my best old-fashioned belter. But I met Harry, and Harry was a great influence on my musical career. He helped me make my first album and remains a good friend, he and Jill. And it was also right during that time that I was getting engaged to my husband, Greg Naughton. So it was a big time in my life, a really, really fun time in my life. I remember I turned the ripe age of 30 during that run. Woo. Wow, Sunday in the Park with George. I didn't know anybody knew about this. It's one of my favorite musicals in the world. Again, a very big challenge to sing for me because I know the way I like it to sound. I was obsessed with, I never got to see it, but I was obsessed with the filming of Bernadette Peters and Mandy Patinkin and their version of it. And oh man, there's a visceral reaction to when I hear and experience this particular musical, what it means to be an artist. I sing a lot. I sing Finishing the Hat because of what that means when you are so intense about being creative and artistic and finding out about the world that you almost miss the real world, you know, passing you by. And I often sing the song in my solo shows to remind me to pay attention to what's important, you know, my family, my kids, my friendships, my marriage. Sondheim names things in ways that we just can't sometimes. So this show is particularly special to me. I got a chance to do it in California, in LA. Jason Alexander directed it. Manuel Feliciano was my George. We had such a blast. And boy, did I croak out those notes. A short little run was just perfect for that. It's not in here, but I raced back from doing this to do the only one time I did My Fair Lady with the New York City Philharmonic at the, now the David Geffen Theater, with Kelsey Grammer and Brian Dennehy and a whole cast of wonderful people. I remember that year as being so rich for me creatively, to get to do those particularly favorite musicals and to use my voice in absolute opposite ways within weeks of each other was pretty exciting for me. And then I took a minute because I fell madly in love. I was engaged at this time, and I remember the year before I had signed on to do South Pacific was sort of this great time of planning my life, you know, starting to feel like I was growing up a little bit in all the right ways. You know, the interesting thing about South Pacific is I mentioned Victoria Clark and Celia Kenan-Bolger, and I don't know if Bart Shear, who directed Light in the Piazza, who is still to this day, I've done 4 Broadway shows, as you'll hear, with him. I don't know if he was toying with us or what was happening, but the 3 women called back for Nellie Forbush at Lincoln Center were Victoria Clark, Celia Kenan-Bolger, and Kelli O'Hara. And you can test friendships that way, people, but they didn't win. It only made us closer. It didn't have anything to do with me or Vicky or Celia. It ended up having to do with who they cast as Emile DeBeck. And I just happened to be the right fit with Paolo Jot, age-wise. And so I got the job. And I loved this job. My gosh, I loved playing Nellie Forbush because I look at all of these jobs and these shows as ways to grow. And my mother was raised by a bunch of women who grew up in Arkansas. Tootie, Mimi, Juju. I love these women, and they love Nellie Forbush. But I don't think they quite understood Nellie Forbush because they didn't quite understand themselves. And I loved honoring those women and who they were, but also how women like them can change. And that's why I love to play Nellie, because I knew her deeply. And I'm a new version of that, who isn't so rooted in being carefully taught the wrong things. So I love the music. I love Paolo Jot. I love working with Bart again, Danny Burstein. Matt Morrison coincidentally played both Fabrizio and Cable. So I was working with him a second time. Interestingly enough, and I'll get to Stephen Pasquale, but Stephen was the original Fabrizio, and we had met doing it in Sundance, doing Light in the Piazza. And then he was going to do Cable as well, but both times he was in Rescue Me on TV, and he couldn't get out of his contract. And so Matt Morrison always credits, thanks, Steve, for the beginnings of my career, which is great. Something very exciting happened to me in South Pacific that I want to mention is that it was really not fun to wear a bikini. Not fun. And it was really not fun when I had straight pins in the shorts of my shorts during one show and had to do all of the cartwheels with the straight pins inside my shorts. That was a fun story. But I got pregnant with my son, and I still had to wear the bikini. Eventually, Kathy Zuber let me change to a one-piece, but she did not let me wear shorts regularly. I wore them only for one scene. But I had to do all the cartwheels and all the climbing of the stairs and all things while I did the show until I was 5.5 months pregnant with my son, Owen. So he will always, my memory of doing South Pacific will always be like waddling around toward the end in my bare feet in a swimming suit, 5.5 months pregnant. Pretty hysterical. And it's amazing how many people have said to me, I came to the show later in the run. You looked different. Yeah. So actually nobody knew. I couldn't tell anybody anything about it. But Danny Burstein, sweet gentleman, Danny Burstein, we were very close. He's a father of two. I wasn't telling anybody, but we were standing upstage, hiding behind a set piece before we come out. And I was growing everywhere, here, and here. And he finally just said to me, okay, he looked down a little bit and he goes, what's going on? And he knew, he was the first person to know besides my husband that I was having a baby. So I love that about Danny Burstein. We also, I'll never forget, it was early November 2008. My son was born in 2009. And he took my hand and we were on the stage hiding behind the truck before we come out for Act 2. And we look over to the side to stage right and the stagehand goes, he won. And Danny took my hand and he said, your son will be born into an America with the first Black president. And Barack Obama had won that night. So I remember that really well. And we were doing South Pacific, so it felt poignant at the time. King Lear. I'm so proud of this. I'm so proud. I don't know if it seems that way, but my career has felt like something where I don't care if I fail. I just want to try. It's almost as if my entire life has been school. You know, I got my undergraduate degree, but I've thought about going back and getting my master's. But then I realized my school has been my work. And if I can take a class in Shakespeare, if I can take some more opera classes, if I can take more and more and more acting classes all the time with more teachers, I want to do it all the time. And that has been my work. And so when I have done little bits of Shakespeare in college, as most of us in this business had, but I thought, God, I want to do a Shakespeare play. I want to see if I've got what it takes to do it. And what an amazing gift to be able to go to the public theater and have, the best people around you, John Douglas Thompson in King Lear, Sam Waterston, the night before we opened for our first preview, he choked on an apple and hemorrhaged his vocal cords. And if that guy didn't come and do the entire run of King Lear, finally getting his Lear with a compromised set of chords, and just to watch that and never missed a show. This was an incredible experience. It was a strange production of King Lear, for sure, but I met Arian Moayed doing that, who became one of the closest people and in my life. It had the most amazing creative cast. Michael McKean was Gloucester. Bill Irwin was the Fool. It was pretty special to me. And so I will always wear that as a badge of pride, and I hope to do many more Shakespeare plays. But I just keep doing musicals because I love them. This was so fun. Nice Work If You Can Get It. I remember this was in the same year. I had worked with Kathleen Marshall on the Pajama Game, and this musical was floating around a little bit. I think Harry was going to do it at one point, and I wasn't right, or quote unquote wasn't right for a role like Billy, until I did something like Pajama Game, to be seen in a different way. I mean, we did Bells Are Ringing together, a couple of different types of parts for me. And so, all old-fashioned, by the way, but that's just who I am. But then Matthew signed on to do it, Matthew Broderick. Come on, so much fun. And the amazing late Michael McGraw. I can't believe he's gone. I cannot believe it. We had the most fun I've ever had actually doing this musical. Pratfalls. I was sort of the straight man or, straight woman in the show as far as all the comedians go around me, just like having so much fun. But I had a chance to, break loose a couple times. Christopher Sullivan, Sully, Robin Herder. I mean, a cast of amazing, Jennifer Laura Thompson. We just had the most fun, the absolute most fun. And I got to dance a 7-minute dance number up and down stairs and over furniture. When I was nominated for the Fred Astaire Award, Kathleen Marshall couldn't even tell me because she was laughing so hard because it was so preposterous. And I agree. Bridges of Madison County. Let's take that one out. So when I was doing the first few readings of Light in the Piazza, way back in the day, I auditioned for a brand new little show called The Last 5 Years, out of town. I didn't end up getting the job. Lauren Kennedy got it out of town, but I got the understudy. And at that audition, this composer, Jason Robert Brown, came out into the hallway and he said, "I wish you could belt." He said this in so many words. I won't say exactly what he said. And I knew that I couldn't. I knew that this isn't the way I sang. I didn't sing like Lauren Kennedy. I didn't sing like Sherry Renee Scott. This was in the period of my life when I was trying and was banging my head against a brick wall because I wasn't singing the way everybody else was singing. I thought maybe I'd made a mistake. The first show I ever saw was Ragtime, and it was Maren Maisie and Audra McDonald, and I said, I can do this. This is what I can do. And then I got up here, and there was none of that happening. So I didn't end up taking that understudy job in the last 5 years because I was doing Light in the Piazza. And then I was finding my way. So that when he came back to me and he said, I'm going to write the way you sing instead. It was one of the biggest gifts I've ever been given in my life. And he did. Oh man, did he. Because some people say they're going to, but then they don't write that way. They write, their own sensibility is more poppy, more, and he was able to write a show that had the poppy, the wonderful, the stuff Steve sings, all the Robert Kincaid songs. But then he found a way to make it make sense, that Francesca would sound classical and from Italy and round and earthy and I think still sexy and rich and strong. And I just felt alive. I felt alive. And we did workshops like for I don't know how many years. It felt like 5 years, maybe it was 3 years. He and I and Marcia Norman went together to producers and tried to sell the show. They talked about wanting a star to play alongside me. I've always been paired with stars. That's how I can do shows, is because that's how it sells the tickets. I knew Steve was the guy. I knew Steve Pasquale was the one. But we did workshops with a bunch of different guys before, and then one with Steve, and it was just like, we have to go back to Steve. And nobody can sing this, even to this day, nobody can sing it like Steve Pasquale. And then wouldn't you know it, because I was trying to live my life at the same time as doing my work. And here was the show of my life. That and Light in the Piazza, of course, but this one, I was trying to have a baby. I was trying my ass off to have a baby. And for some reason, that first one came real fast and the second one just wouldn't come. Couldn't get pregnant, I couldn't get pregnant, I couldn't get pregnant. We were trying all sorts of things. And then by a miracle, I don't know why I got pregnant. I have my ideas. Some of them are otherworldly, but, and it was right when I was supposed to be doing this. I also happened to be doing a show, Far From Heaven, at the same time with Steve, same season. And so I had to do both shows. Let me say this again. I got to do Far From Heaven completely pregnant. And Scott Frankel and Michael Corey and Michael Greif and Playwrights Horizons did something that I think everybody should always do, but had not been done. They let me play a role while I was freaking 8 months pregnant. A role about a woman who's not pregnant. We went for it. And it wasn't easy. It changed the story. It affected it. But I did it. I did it. Kathy Zuber made me a spank that had an opening for a belly that would grow and a corset that had an opening for a belly that would grow. And I did that show pregnant. And so that when they did the out of town of Bridges right after Far From Heaven closed, my cover, the wonderful Elena Shadow, did the out of town in Williamstown. And I went to watch it. And then Charlotte was born, my daughter. And then we started rehearsals 8 weeks later. So I waited all this time to do this show. And then when I started the show, I was like completely out of my gourd. I was postpartum. I was leaking. And sweet Steve Pasquale said, he took me by the hand and said, we're gonna make a love story out of this. And boy, did I not feel sexy. But I felt strong and I felt self-possessed and emotional. And the entire time we did this show, I felt proud. that I was doing both things at once. One funny intimate story that I don't even care to tell is that I could also say nakedy.com. I don't even know why I said that, but that's what I'm gonna say. Because there's a moment that Francesca steps out of the bath and looks at herself in the mirror and says, am I worthy of this love? Does anybody want this person, this aging person? And the answer is, fuck yeah. They did. Steve Pasquale, Robert Kincaid did, right? But one night, I was nursing at the time, and boy, did I everywhere. And I on stage, and I had to, ladies, you know what the letdown is, right? So yeah, that happened on stage, and I had to get the towel and hold myself in and still think about being a sexy being, even though I was lactating. Yep, you're welcome. You never know what's really happening on the stage. It's quite different than you might imagine. Peter Pan. I was still nursing during Peter Pan. I remember this well because I remember how my costumes fit. Every show I did from that from the kids on has something to do with my children. Because during Nice Work, I was trying to get pregnant this whole time, which I did. I did Nice Work until I was 5.5 months pregnant. I did the dance with Matthew Broderick over the stairs, over the furniture while pregnant. But for the first whole part of that show, I was trying to get pregnant. So that dressing room saw some good stuff. Let's see, Peter Pan, so much fun, so weird. You know what happened to me during Peter Pan? Completely live, just as they say it is, live on NBC. I fell in love with that dog, Bodie, that played Nana. And when I tell you that the camera, just as it is here looking at me right now, steady cam, that steady cam broke in the live production. But if you watch it, you don't see anything. You don't see anything stop, because that breaks. I'm singing my song. The dog's right here. When will my children come back? Or whatever I'm singing. They go to side cameras. Some cool, amazing technical people, amazing artwork, technically, pick me up on the side cameras. Another Steadicam guy comes in. This guy, they have a conversation. They switch. They're running around. The whole time, I'm just singing, I'm probably sweating, trying not to change my affect. The dog never stops looking at me because I had that treat in my waistband. That sweet Bodie never looked at all this chaos. And I tried not to show it. I just kept singing my song, And when you look back, you don't see anything, because that is the brilliance of the head of the DP, the producers, the execs. I'm clapping right now, that's what that is. It was amazing. But it humbles me because we did the numbers. You would have to see that production of Peter Pan, fully sold out, 8 shows a week at the Gershwin, the largest theater, fully sold out every night for 15 years, to have the same viewership that we had that night for NBC. So I love being a theater artist, but we're not famous. The King and I. Wow. So I never thought about doing The King and I. That was something that Bart in Lincoln Center, so this would be my 3rd show at Lincoln Center. That was such a special gift that just kept on giving. I had no idea. I really, I grew up on Rodgers and Hammerstein, mostly except for King and I hadn't watched it as a kid. I've never seen the film. Because I usually, once I know I'm gonna play something, I don't go back and revisit it, just because I don't wanna repeat. I wanna try to make something new. I just went to the source material and the story of Annalee and Owen's life. But this was so much deeper and so much more powerful in my life at the time. Mostly because I think for the first time I was given the job of playing a woman with her feet that were firmly planted in the ground. I was a mother. I was trying to protect my son. But I was also a woman falling in love with a community that I did not know. And that to me was one of the greatest gifts that I could ever be given. It was a gift that kept on giving. We did it in London for 4 months. We did it in Japan for a month. I met Ken Watanabe. I took a journey with my good friend Ruthie Ann Miles that will be a journey that we take for the rest of our lives together. It's an interesting thing. I mean, I am so proud that I won a Tony Award. It gives me such pride. I don't think that I caught on to I didn't grow up with the Tony Awards like some kids did. I didn't have anybody to show me the Tony Awards. The first time I ever watched the Tonys, I watched them because Kristen Chenoweth was gonna win a Tony, and she thanked our teacher, Florence Birdwell. It was for You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. I remember going, wow, she just got to thank Mrs. Birdwell in front of all these people. That is an amazing thing. But the first 6 times I was nominated for a Tony, I didn't understand until Bridges. I didn't know about campaigning or showing up at things to be photographed, or I thought I've been nominated for my work. Like, I just really, really thought it was wonderful. So by the time I get to King and I'm thinking about awards in a little bit of a different way. Like, I'm proud of what I've done, but I know how to lose. You know, it doesn't feel great, but it's also like, but I got nominated. I mean, I'm up here in the presence of all of these amazing people, but I also know all these amazing people that didn't get nominated. There's not enough room for all the amazing performances happening in this city right now. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. Is it luck? Is it staying power? You know, what is it? What I know for sure about this particular year is I wasn't even nominated for a drama desk, much less didn't win a drama desk. I wasn't even there the week before. I was certain I wouldn't win. I had wrapped my head completely around a 7th time not winning, or 6th, or whatever it was. And like I said, I had gotten really comfortable with that feeling of, this isn't what it's about. It's about my work. So when I won, there was this incredible excitement. Like, I cannot tell you this excitement. Mostly because I thanked Florence Birdwell, and because I thanked my parents, who, just like I said in my speech, had come and paid money, and we're not gazillionaires, but had come and paid money to sit next to me every single time, hoping that I'd win, even when I knew that I wouldn't. Brigadoon. So awesome. I really, I've done a few shows for City Center. I love City Center. I love encores. This one was so special. I loved working with Patrick Wilson, Asif, Stephanie, just the whole cast was incredible. I'm either reincarnated. I've thought about this a lot, by the way. I do a lot of inner study. Or my parents just so raised me on old films and musicals my whole life that it's just who I am. And I love it. Sometimes I'll read like a Gershwin biography and I'll have pains, like actual pangs, I should say, that they'll be in like a salon in a brownstone singing songs in the biography, and I'll feel like I should be there. How do I get there? What can I do? And it'll hurt. And so I either am reincarnated, and I believe there might be something to that, or I just grew up embracing this type of thing. Now, I love everything contemporary. I mean, on TV, I play nothing but contemporary except for The Gilded Age. But I mean, you know, Sheriff's Country and 13 Reasons Why and the other things I do, The Beauty, you know, it's contemporary stuff. And I love that because I'm a contemporary woman. I live in this contemporary world. I have a lot of contemporary thoughts. But I can go back in this era and sing those scores, and I feel like I'm truly alive. And that's how I felt about Brigadoon. It felt like singing and not having to think about it. And that rarely happens for me. That was a great experience. Kiss Me Kate, similarly, I mentioned that I had come to see Ragtime and saw Marin and saw Audra, and then I went back to see Kiss Me Kate when Marin starred in it. Now, Marin and I are very different. I was very different from those other sopranos, but in particular because they've passed away, Marin and Rebecca Luker, were so influential on my life, and still Vicki Clark, because they were sopranos, they were badasses, they were strong women who did not suffer fools easily. And I really took that as a template for myself, Audra too. And so I wanted to do Kiss Me Kate in honor of Marin. It's the same reason I wanted to do the Ragtime revival. Concert, not this one. I wanted to stand in Marin's shoes. I did not want to play the role. I wanted to be her placeholder and just honor her. I didn't want to play Mother. I wanted to let everyone else play their roles and have, Marin was with me in every way. I know it. I'm certain of it. But Mother is never a role that I can own, because to me, she belonged to someone else, and now she belongs to the amazing Casey Levy. So Kiss Me Kate was an absolute blast. Back at the Roundabout, back with Scott Ellis. We just had the most fun time. My kids spent all their time in that dressing room, and it became such a, bonding moment for us. That when I did Days of Wine and Roses back at Studio 54, I took pictures and I decorated the room exactly as I had decorated it in Kiss Me Kate. And I put pictures on the walls from Kiss Me Kate. Now my kids are 5 years older. And had them come in, and they remembered it so well. And so we shared that experience. Days of Wine and Roses was 22 years in the making. Another collaboration with the most amazing Adam Gettle and Craig Lucas and Michael Greif again, and Brian, who is my all-time favorite leading man. What a gentleman he is. What a talent. I've been so lucky. Steve Pasquale, Hello Shot. Brian is just a special individual who makes me better. And we had to be very safe with each other during this production. I was delving into stories that I really, really felt that I wanted to research and study and live inside, not unlike South Pacific. And I needed to be really safe with the person that I dove deeply with. And so I will always be indebted to Brian for taking that long, long journey with me. It took us a long time to get it to the stage, and it'll be what it will be for history. It wasn't a commercial hit, but it was in my opinion, artistically the most fulfilling thing. How much fun. So last June, my agents called me on the phone. My manager, Erica Tuckman, and my agency called me on the phone, and she literally said, "Are you sitting down?" And you don't know why you're going to get a call that says, "They're offering you a play." I'm like, great, nobody ever offers me a play, but it's starring Tom Hanks and written by Tom Hanks. I thought I was being punked. I actually said, "Am I being punked?" Punk's not even a thing anymore. That was like 20 years ago. I thought they were playing a mean practical joke on me. Tom was an absolute joy. I got closer with that cast in a short amount of time than I have with any cast in a long, long time. Kaylee Carter, Michelle Wilson. I can name all of them. But Tom was the kind of insatiable, energetic, kind bulldozer of a creative spirit that you cannot help but get just sucked into the energy. And I know the play was a feel-good play. I had done something like Days of Wine and Roses, which was delving into something very, very deep and dark. And I knew that when we came out of here, there was no cynicism. There was good old-fashioned love. And it gave me quite a bit of pride to walk out and see people go, even if they didn't understand some of the futuristic stuff. I think that my job of telling a love story, which by the way, I don't get to tell very much anymore, and I'm probably gonna tell less and less, and someone writes a story for a bit of an older woman falling in love, please. It's one of the reasons I love playing Days of Wine and Roses. There was deep, deep love there. But for some reason, I'm in my era, especially on television, of playing really angry, angry, sad ladies. Let's do some better writing. I think that that was a wonderful opportunity. The Fallen Angels, this play, I think I'm gonna have more fun than I've ever had doing Fallen Angels with Rose Byrne. Again, back at the Roundabout, Scott Ellis. This cast, Tracy Chimo, Asif Mamvi, Christopher Fitzgerald, Mark Consuelos, and a wonderful cast of covers. We are having an absolute blast. We had very little time to put it together. It is more words than I've ever said in my life. Noel Coward, he wrote this when he was 23. I don't know the brilliance, it can't be explained. About two women who are doing some very fantastic things and having a lot of fun and having it the way they want to have it. And so it's funny that I just said, let's do some fun writing that's not just about anger or, I mean, I love playing anger. I got it in droves. I love playing bitter. I got it in droves. I love playing perimenopausal. Got it in droves. But this guy was 23 years old, a guy, and writing, he was giving the women some. You know what I'm saying? Giving them a little something. I really think the timing is ripe and fantastic. And I don't know that we knew that it was this much fun when we decided to do it. So I feel really, really lucky right now to be doing this right now and just having fun. It's a one-act play, 3 acts with cute little snippets in between to change the energy. 90 minutes, you can eat dinner, go have drinks. It's complete frivolity, bubbles, champagne, deliciousness. And I think that it's right now where we are, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, it's a gift. That's what I want to think of it that way. I mean, I don't know if you'll agree with me. I think it's a gift because it's just an escape. It is like a toast to not everything outside, but literally a toast to just a little night of ridiculousness. And I think, why not? Why not go have that escape? So I love it, and I need it. I need it right now because I love telling the real stories, but I'm an actor for a reason. It's because I want to disappear once in a while, and I'm disappearing into Julia Sterile. And we've come to the end. But I hope to be someone who is going to fill the other side as long as the roles keep coming.